Welcome to the M1 Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Marcus Sadu, and today we're going to be digging into why it's so hard to be satisfied and content with what we have, whether it be once we get in shape, our careers, relationships, all of it, because the same principle applies across the board. Why are we this way? Why are we satisfied by our accomplishments for such a short period of time? The answer is because evolution wants progress and advancement of our species. The definition of evolution is the gradual development of something, especially from a simple to a more complex form. And if we accomplish something and we're then endlessly satisfied by that single accomplishment, we wouldn't evolve because there would be zero drive to do so. The new becomes normal, and then we search for the new again. This phenomenon is wired into us and has been for millions of years. Now, of course, there are advantages and disadvantages to this program, you could say, because there are payoffs and costs to everything. Now, the main advantage, of course, is essentially progress. That's what evolution wants. And the main disadvantage is the lack of feeling content on a personal level. But evolution doesn't care if you're content. It just cares that you progress and procreate. But you can actually have progress and feelings of being content if you understand how this system works. Now, some folks might say that what I'm about to explain is the key to happiness, and I agree with that essentially, however, with a remodeled definition of happiness. Happiness is an emotion just like sadness, just like joy, anger, excitement, frustration, and the list goes on. So saying, I just want to be happy is exactly like saying, I just want to be sad. Now, you might be thinking, what the fuck is Marcus talking about? How is saying, I just want to be happy the same as saying, I just want to be sad? They're both emotions and they're on two sides of a spectrum. So if you solely felt happy all the time, first of all, you'd begin to forget what sadness was like, and then your quote-unquote happiness would dull because you'd have no contrast. And remember, we develop a new normal incredibly quickly. So what does this mean? It means that aiming to feel happy 24/7 is actually a faulty goal. But aiming to feel content in your life, just in general, is a real possibility. You're still going to feel emotions, right? You're going to feel joy and happiness at times, just like you're going to feel sadness and sorrow. But your baseline or middle ground can be a feeling of relative contentedness. That's actually a word, I looked it up. So the advantage of this program, where our new normal is established really quickly, is super useful in the sense that it pushes us forward and has us progress. But the disadvantage of this program is that the feeling of progress or achievement doesn't last because the program wants you to achieve more. So this is why having goals, working to achieve them, and then setting new goals is such a great recipe to feel content because we set a goal, reach it, feel great, earn for more, set a new goal, reach it, celebrate, earn for more, and so on. This is growth in a nutshell. This can also be purpose in a nutshell if you're passionate about what you're doing. This is why people that love their careers and the work that they do are far more content than folks who don't. Their daily purpose checks these boxes and works with this evolutionary program as opposed to against it. Because if you don't like what you're doing for 40 hours a week, man, that's a lot of time to invest in something that doesn't provide you with a feeling of purpose. Because essentially you just opt out of this program or system altogether, and you're quite literally just waiting for time to pass. Not a whole lot of satisfaction in that. Now, this purpose doesn't have to solely come from your career. It can come from plenty of things, right? It might be side projects, it might be parenting or being an amazing partner or learning a new skill or all of the above. And notice, I didn't mention anything material around purpose. And I want to be clear, there is zero judgment or anything wrong with material things. I love nice things, they're great. But a classic example is getting a new car. How long does that novelty stick around? A week? Maybe 2, a month if you're lucky. And then the car is just your car that you drive every day and you may still love it, but that shiny new appeal wears off quick. The difference between buying something like a car and putting work and effort into something you're truly interested in or passionate about is that the work invested in an interest or passion project builds you and fills you in an entirely different way. The novelty from the passion project will still wear off, but there's a different type of satisfaction that comes with it. You can think about it like this. Let's say cars are your passion. Are you going to feel more satisfied by buying a car you love or by building a car you love with your bare hands? I'm not a car guy, but I bet that piecing your own car together is going to be a far more fulfilling endeavor. Now, one way to extend the half-life, you could say, of satisfying things is by implementing gratitude. It has us access some of that novelty in a way, but it's more so from an angle of appreciation. So by waking up every morning and getting into that car that you built with your own two hands that you absolutely love and taking 20 seconds to be like, man, I love this thing. I love the way that it steers, how it handles, the detail of the interior, how it gets me where I want to go and back reliably. It also keeps me safe. You get the idea, right? So stopping, reflecting, and appreciating is a really powerful way to feel more content with what you have right now. Also, like I said before, we need to work with the system, not against it, in order to get more out of our lives. So it's important to appreciate, but it's also important to continue to improve and progress. There's nothing worse than looking back over the course of your year and being in the exact same spot with the exact same problems, talking about the exact same shit that you wanted to do. That leaves a sour taste in our mouths because we're literally wired to want to constantly improve. This is actually why a lot of folks work with me. They realize that they're spinning their wheels, not improving, potentially even getting worse, and it gets to a point where enough is enough. They want results, they want progress, and they're willing to do what it takes to get it. So you're probably starting to see that this system that wants constant progression can leave you feeling discouraged or even worse, regretful. Or you can work with it and use it to propel you forward. Basically what I'm saying is that one of the best ways to feel more content in your life is to create avenues to learn and grow. It's exactly like eating, moving, and sleeping properly. We are wired to thrive off of single and minimal ingredient whole foods, moving plenty, and sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night. Now, you can do that and feel awesome, or you can eat poorly, live a sedentary lifestyle, and not sleep enough. But the repercussions are that you're going to feel like shit because you're not providing the system with what it needs to thrive. It is the exact same thing around learning, growing, and progressing. That's what the system, you, needs to thrive in a mental and emotional sense. So cool, Marcus, got it. You drove the point home. Where do I start? First off, establish what your priorities are. And that may sound like a difficult question, but it's actually quite easy to figure out because all you need to do is look at your calendar. And if you don't use a calendar, first off, use one, that's crazy. And then secondly, just track how you invest your time. And then next, look at your Visa and or bank statements. How you invest your time and money will tell you everything you need to know about your priorities. It's actually documented for you already. All you need to do is look at it. Now, once you look at your calendar and your Visa statement, ask yourself, am I stoked on how I'm investing my resources? If the answer is yes, great, keep doing what you're doing. But if the answer is no, something needs to change because if nothing changes, nothing changes. So let's get specific. Let's say you want to eat healthier and you look at your Visa statement and you're spending twice as much on meals out as you are on groceries for your home. Chances are you're not eating all that healthfully because we know that for the most part, meals out aren't nearly as healthy as meals you can make yourself at home. So you decide you're going to reverse it for this month. You're going to spend twice as much on groceries for home than you are on meals out. This is so easy to track because you can just monitor your Visa statement and see whether you're moving in the right direction or not. You can also watch how your body composition improves, how your energy increases, how your sleep gets better, how your mood is impacted. And the coolest thing about this is that by making progress and tracking this stuff, you get into this positive feedback loop where you're feeling better, you're looking better, and you're getting results. And this just makes you want to carry out these behaviors even more because it feels awesome to make progress. And you can see this is an example of using the system to your advantage and working with it. Now, it's worth noting when you're establishing your priorities, one trap that's really easy to fall into is the, well, I don't want X trap. When someone asks us what we want, we typically respond automatically with what we don't want. So, Marcus, what do you want? Well, I don't want to have to worry about money, I don't want to be overweight, and I don't want to be single. Be sure that you get very clear on what it is that you actually want instead of focusing on what you don't want, right? If you'd like, you can start with what you don't want and chip away, and eventually you'll get to what you do want. but it's easier to just skip that step and get straight to what you want. Also, this can be a bit of a difficult exercise in the sense that you might have never really thought this out or thought this through. Like, what do I really want in my life? So just be sure to be patient with yourself when doing this, but the more specific you can get, the better. I want to give you guys one more example around how I've used this in my own life to feel more content, feel like I'm moving forward and making progress. I always had a goal of learning Spanish, and I put it off and put it off and put it off until I got to a point where I was 32 and I still hadn't taken any actionable steps in a consistent way. So enough was enough, and I hired a Spanish teacher. It was so challenging. And I mean, talk about feeling like an idiot just about every day. I was essentially starting from square one because I took Spanish in high school for a couple years, but I barely scraped by. I didn't apply myself. Actually, if you ask the majority of my high school teachers to sum up my academic prowess in a nutshell, it would have probably been something like untapped potential, didn't apply himself, something like that. Anyways, I have made huge progress over the course of the last year and a half with my Spanish, and it feels so good. I can go to a Spanish-speaking country now and live my life normally. I'm not fluent yet, but I can more than get by, and I continue to work at it, progress, celebrate, earn for more, apply more effort, improve, get the payoff, and so on. Now, if I hadn't hired my teacher, shout out to Gustavo, by the way, great dude, I would be in the exact same position I was a year and a half ago, with an unfulfilled dream and a sour taste in my mouth, not to mention a completely different experience of my life over the past year and a half, because improving and growing in different ways has a trickle-down effect, and it opens up so many doors. I've spent quite a bit of time in Mexico and Colombia over the past year and a half, and there would have been so many conversations that I wouldn't have been able to have. And as a result, I would have met less people, would have had less experiences, less learning, lesser feelings of community and fitting in. There are so many downstream effects of what we do and what we don't do that we're completely unaware of. And unfortunately, stuff like this doesn't really get factored into whether we do something or not very often, because we're just unaware of it altogether or don't think much about it until we're in the situation. You get invited to a pool party or a fancy wedding that's happening in a month or two, and you think, man, I would love to be in better shape for that. And then you don't take action, and the date is getting closer and closer, and then all of a sudden it's the day of the pool party or the event, and you're like, fuck, if only I started then. That then is right now. So to sum things up, we are designed to progress because our new normal gets established super quickly. And in order to feel content, we need to feel productive and like we're improving. If you're stagnant, it's going to leave a sour taste in your mouth. And there's absolutely nothing you can do about that other than take action. It's just the rules of this human game that we need to play in accordance with. Now, you don't need to make progress in every area of your life all at once. I would actually recommend starting in one area, really focusing on that, improving it, and then potentially moving on to another area afterwards. Also, take 20 to 30 seconds here and there and identify what you're grateful for. This is an awesome tool to prolong the satisfaction process and feel more content right away. But these things go unnoticed if we don't go looking for them. Let me know if you enjoyed this type of episode as far as the content goes, because I love talking about nutrition specifically. However, this is the stuff that I tie in with my one-on-one coaching clients more so, because it's just about so much more than food, movement, and sleep, right? It's about getting the most out of your life, because for all we know, we only get one shot at this, and really, what do you have to lose? Regret is not a fun feeling, but it's incredibly useful because it's designed for you to not make the same mistake again. Now, if you're interested in applying for personalized one-on-one nutritional coaching and/or workout design with me, you can head over to n1fitness.com/coaching. Also, let's be friends. I'm at N1Fitness on Instagram and Marcus Sadu on Facebook. Lastly, this is a call to action. You've listened this far. You are interested in this stuff. You want to improve. You want to grow. You're investing in yourself via this podcast. Take one step towards something you want right now. Right now. As soon as you press stop on your podcast player. And if you don't know where to start with your priorities via your calendar and your visa statement. And if you do take action, I would love it if you message me about it and let me know what you did and how you did it. Thanks for listening, guys, and I will catch you on the next episode. See ya.